So for me, Women's History Month does mean something really personal to me. You know, first of all, I'm a woman, and it's something that has been something at the front of my mind from being a young girl, really. I think it's really important that we actually reflect on the achievements that women have made over the centuries, because if we don't recognise how far we've gone, we can't then celebrate the great things that we've done.
For me, highlighting women and their achievements and the fight they have gone through to get here. Women make up a majority of the population, and without their achievements, we wouldn't be where we are today. We would not have the freedoms that we have and the ability to achieve what we have. But we still have a long way to go. Women still face discrimination, domestic abuse, and are targets in war violence. Women need to be in positions of power to provide a pathway forward for those to come. For fighting for many rights in the workplace, for such things as maternity rights, equal opportunities, equal pay, and things like flexible working. I think about the women that have gone past. When you're thinking about Emily Pankhurst, you're thinking about Mary Seacole, you're thinking about Florence Nightingale. In terms of work, in terms of women's rights, then I think that Emily Pankhurst was one of the most important people, giving us the votes, giving us the right to work. And for me, I think it's about celebrating that, and it's about celebrating the women of the future, about celebrating perhaps the first 100 women in business, when we're talking about 100 women in business, that are trying to smash that glass ceiling.
So one of the first things I always advise employers to do, or businesses to do, is first of all look at where are your women in your organisation. Look at women from all different backgrounds. So for example, if you look at that through an intersectional lens, where are your ethnic minority women within your organisation? Are you seeing them in those senior leadership roles as well as white women? But for me, it's also looking at your structures within your organisation. So what are you doing to enable the women who work for you to perform to their best? Have you got policies in place that look at women's health issues, for example? So again, it's looking at, do your policies take into account the differences between men and women in the workplace? It's also looking at your culture as well. So have you got a culture where women feel safe? Do women feel safe in the respect of, if something does happen to them at work, that they feel safe to speak out about that? They know what the mechanisms are to report such incidences if things happen. Because no matter how much training we do in workplaces, we have to recognise that sometimes people don't get on, and we need to make sure that people feel safe to speak out when those things happen. And I think finally, when we're looking at gender inclusion, it's about, again, looking at not just how women are working in your workplace, but also, are they getting the opportunity to progress? Do they have a voice? Do they have the chance to influence the policies and the ways of working that you have in your organisation?
I've worked in Acas for 20 years. I enjoyed every minute of it. I enjoy the work that I do in conciliation, being able to assist people in resolving their disputes. And as a woman, I think that, the greatest thing that I have done is being chair of the Disability Network and working alongside other networks, particularly, the Women's Network, who are looking at all sorts of things, including, maternity rights, things like miscarriage, menopause, all these different things that may not have been, considered some years ago. When I started work, to go off and go on maternity leave and come back was just not heard of. and to see now that we've forged ahead, I was able to work right through, and to see now that that is the norm, not the exception. And I think that that's a wonderful thing, that people can continue with their careers and reach their full potential without having to drop back because they've decided to have a family or anything like that. So I think that is a wonderful achievement for women.
But it's also recognising that we still have a lot of barriers to face. There's still a lot of gender stereotyping out there in society, and it's about Women's History Month for me is about being able to discuss those stereotypes, demystifying those stereotypes, celebrating women, celebrating the achievements of what women have achieved over the decades.